Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm reviewing this fragrance today, Lin Sumi by LALIQUE, because I couldn't find many good reviews of this on YouTube, and it's a fragrance that had always kind of interested me because I do like LALIQUE. I think they're a great value house with things that don't smell like everything else on the market. And then this is a more this is a newer release from the house. I think 2016 or so. So this had caught my attention, and I just even though it was cheap, I couldn't decide whether I wanted it or not based on the reviews. I would say the review that I agree with the most is Mark's review, Robezo8 channel. After watching it, after sort of studying the scent myself, I agreed with a lot of the points that he made. So I'll tell you sort of the thoughts I had, my initial impression of this, and it's not a complicated scent. So the first thought that I had when I sprayed this is, and I have it on my arm here. So the first thought I had was, there must be ambroxan here. So I definitely got that scent. And then the next thought immediately following that was, it smells a lot like Dior Sauvage. Well, at first, I wasn't sure. There was something very familiar about it, and then I realized it was very similar to Dior Sauvage. And I didn't see that mentioned in any the video reviews that I saw. But if you look on Fragrantica, it turns out I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Actually, it's probably the scent that Lin Sumi gets compared to the most, and you'll see a lot of mention of Dior Sauvage. And I do agree, there is a strong similarity to the point where, I didn't expect it at all, but I was reminded of Sauvage. And it's because there is that same lavender pepper accord here. This kind of deodorant-like smell, right, that Sauvage has. And yet it's a little bit different. So, on first spray, it's a very pleasant kind of scent, but it's also, and I was very happy with that kind of initial blast. But it's also a scent that, for me at least, I get tired of easily. Just because it's a very sharp and fresh scent with not a lot of complexity. So the smell is very similar to Sauvage. So if you like that kind of scent, you will like this. But I also agree that this is a little bit more mature. If you're worried that it might be sort of an old man scent, it definitely isn't. It's still a very, kind of modern smelling scent. But it's a little bit more mature in that it reminds me a little bit more of just the barbershop vibe than Sauvage. This has a little bit more creaminess to it. A little bit more of the shaving foam sort of smell. Not that is the strongest accord, but it's sort of Sauvage with that twist added, a little bit more of that kind of direction. Now, the other major difference is that this is a lot more herbal. So there's this kind of and this is the part that's a little bit different and a little bit interesting. You might sort of get a spicy feel from the scent at first, and of course there's the black pepper, but there's also this sharpness that comes from the herbals. So there is this basil note that's very, very prominent. And then, of course, lavender and the clary sage is actually sort of what I get a lot of in the dry down. Kind of like, when Hermes H24 dries down, right? It's really, you get that, simple clary sage smell. So you get a little bit of that here, and that's where I say, it's a scent that I can kind of get tired of easily, because it sort of, in the opening, it's more vibrant, it's more full, and then it dries into sort of this sharp but light clary sage scent. So let me kind of touch on the performance then. When I first tried it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a scent that's another sort of weak scent, but I got kind of decent projection out of this. I think it's sort of a moderately strong perfume. I wouldn't say it's like super weak, but again, it's sort of the scent profile that makes it feel that way. It's light wearing, similar to the way that Hermes H24, because it dries into this clary sage smell, is very light wearing. It has a similar sharpness and also a similar cold feel. And as I was reading some of the comments on Fragrantica, I saw one person actually say that this is he got a combination of Sauvage and Parfum de Marly Percival. And I think, for me, I really, that kind of resonated with me. I think he nailed it. Of course, Percival is sort of a beastly fragrance. It's super strong for being a fresh scent. But I think the reason that I get a similarity to Percival as well is that Percival, again, is ambroxan heavy, but is also very cold feeling. And this has a similarly cold feel to it. And I guess sort of the herbals, the lavender gives us a very cold feel, almost also a little bit piney as well, and especially because you mix in the oak moss, it goes into that kind of mossy, piney direction. Very cool feeling, almost a minty tone as well. Kind of like scents that use eucalyptus, that sort of feel. So if you like those fragrances, you'll enjoy this. But I think you do have to like sort of herbal scents. Then, another difference that I pick up with this compared to something like Sauvage is this has a little bit of a different sweetness, a little bit more sweetness. They list a rum note. Nothing kind of boozy about this scent. I think it's just a little bit of sweetness added to this mix. And, it goes well. I mean, it sort of is kind of interesting. It draws me in sometimes. But other times it's a little bit, I think the sweetness, when you mix the sweets with the sweet with the herbals, it can be a little bit nauseating. And so a bit similar to, if you sort of go past your limit on the number of drinks, right? If you have, if you're having a night out, you're really enjoying it, then you have one more than you should have, and then you feel a little bit nauseated sometimes. It's kind of that feel, right? It's likable at first, and then maybe it's too much, right? So while being a soft scent, this kind of sweetness infused into it, and the strong presence of this herbal mossy smell can be a bit too much because it stays that way, right? It doesn't have development, as I mentioned in the beginning. So either you like it or you don't in the dry down, but you should definitely, try it and wear it until, it dries down to see if you like that kind of sillage. There is this kind of soft scent cloud, again, a mix of ambroxan and herbal smells. So there you go, guys. Lin Su Mi. I still think, though, that because of the price, it's still a good fragrance, actually, and it's going to be a good scent for a lot of people. Because the fact is that a lot of people like scents like Sauvage, and this is one of those very easy reaches. The issue I have for me, though, because this is not my favorite kind of scent profile, I'm not a fan of Sauvage. I can only see myself wearing this on occasion, like, for example, certain spring days. Or sometimes when I want to get that shower gel feel. But for me, it's not going to be an everyday scent because I'm not looking for that smell. But in terms of, the freshness, the cleanness, it should work as an everyday scent, similar to the way the blue fragrances work, or Sauvage, something like Sauvage wears. All right. So there you go. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next reviews. I've got a lot coming up. I purchased a lot of fragrances recently, so be on the lookout. I'll see you next time. Bye.